Hi, this is Scott with Etrailer. Today we're taking a look at our Airlift 1000 air helper springs on our 2024 Ford Maverick. So today our neighbor brought in his Maverick and he had his trailer on the back and really wanted to have an idea of what they can do to get some of the squat out of the rear of the vehicle. As you can see, it is sagging quite a bit in the rear of the vehicle. And what that's going to end up doing down the road is it's going to give some tire wear. It's going to give poor braking performance and poor handling as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting a helper airbag system on it, and that's going to help get some of this sag out of the rear. Now we'll go ahead and take some measurements with our trailer on, and what we've got, we're going to go from the ground up to the bottom of our fender well here, and we're looking at right at about 32 3/4 for that measurement in the rear. Now in the front, we'll take a measurement of that because you can see it does lift that up a little bit from the weight in the rear. And now in the front, we're looking right around 33 1/8. So now we have our measurements before we start our install. Now we're going to take a little drive and see what it looks like underneath of our vehicle without the helper springs. Now we're going to go over our bump course and we're going to see how it looks underneath of our vehicle. Be able to get a little bit of spring movement on camera so we can see how much those are reacting to our bumps. So we're feeling a really rough ride without them there, with all that extra weight in the back. So when we get the springs installed, that's really going to help with getting rid of that feedback we're getting from hauling all that extra weight behind our vehicle. So we unhooked the trailer from the back of our Maverick and we ended up with about the same measurements that we took for our wheel well to the ground. Now this one does have some heavy accessories on the back. It is going to have the rooftop tent and our camper shell here, which is going to add a lot of weight to the back, which you wouldn't normally have on your standard Maverick. With that being said, we'll see how our air springs affect the measurements from our wheel well to the ground after we get them installed. And another nice thing about them is it's also going to affect when we're pulling a trailer, but it's also going to help out with the extra weight that we have on the back. Now that we have our air springs installed, we'll get some measurements again and see if we made any improvements. And we're looking at 33 1/4 for our measurement here. So even with all of our weight on the back, we can definitely see a difference that we raised the rear, so it leveled it out quite a bit. Now I'll check out the front and see if we have any change there. And we are sitting at 33 1/8 there. So that pretty much stayed the same as our measurement before. So what that means with our measurement changes in the rear is that we're going to get a little bit better handling. We're going to get a little bit better braking performance because it levels out our entire vehicle. Another thing it's going to be nice for as well is it's going to get our headlights back to adjusted where they need to be when you're going down the road. So when you're going down the road and you have sag in the rear, it's going to raise up the rear of the vehicle and that's going to shoot your headlights up more. So with it leveled out, it's going to get them right back to where they're supposed to be. Now we'll take it for a little drive around and see how it improved in our driving performance. And already I can tell it's got a lot of the jounce out of it and I'm not feeling a lot of feedback from the bumps itself. It's just a really big improvement. Now we'll see how braking feels. Huge difference in braking compared to what we had before. Turning, you don't have a lot of body roll in it, so that feels really nice. And before, when we were driving it, you could really tell that you had a trailer back there. Plus we have all the extra weight of the accessories that are on the bed of our truck. Right now, it can't really feel that. The only thing I really feel is just a little bit of the trailer kind of tugging a little bit. I don't feel like I have a whole lot of weight back there behind the vehicle at all. One of the things I like about this setup is you can get this set up a couple different ways the way it comes. You can have either a single airline that you plug in the rear, or you can have the dual that you could set it up where you can set up independently. Say you're hauling different weights in the back of your truck and you need to be able to level that out. But the way I would do it, there is an option available for these where you can set them up where they have a compressor, where it's all you have to do is just push buttons on the inside of your vehicle. You don't have to get out and go to the gas station or wherever to get air. Everything's on board and ready to roll. Now that we've driven it around and seen the benefits of what these are going to do for us, we've got it back on the lift, and now we can take a look at how everything looks installed. And this one turned out really well. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. The toughest part, I think, was getting the bags to slide into these. Other than that, it really wasn't too bad after that. Everything really fell together really well. These are just going to really help you out when you're trying to level out your vehicle. Say you do a lot of camping and you have a lot of gear in the back of your vehicle all the time. These are going to help get that squat out of the rear, and it's really going to improve your handling and braking performance. Another thing it's going to be good for is if you do haul small trailers once in a while, and when you put a trailer on the back, that is going to make your vehicle squat. These are going to really help lift up that rear end and get that all leveled out, and it makes your driving experience a whole lot better. These are basically going to live inside of your pre-existing springs, and what they're going to do is they're going to limit the travel of the spring itself, and it's going to help give you that lift that you're looking for. And one of the things with these is people need to remember whenever you get something like this installed, or even a normal airbag system, you need to be running the minimum amount of pressure in them that is recommended for them all the time. Because most of the time, that's what really messes up an airbag system if you run them with no air in them at all. Now these are a minimum of 5 PSI, so I recommend you keep at least 5 PSI in these at all times. Now keep in mind when you do get these installed, these are not going to increase the weight towing capabilities of your vehicle at all. This is just going to basically be helping you out with leveling your vehicle out. So make sure you don't exceed any of your gross trailer weight towing capacities that are in your owner's manual. These will not increase that at all. So if you're interested in this air spring helper kit for your Ford Maverick, you can get a hold of one of our experts here at Etrailer, or you can leave a question or comment down below in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. As far as installation goes for this one, it is pretty tricky, just hard, and getting the bags in place was probably the hardest part. Running the lines and all that wasn't too bad. We did ours on a lift today, and you can do it at home if you lift up your suspension and have your wheels where they're not touching the ground, and you fully extend your springs because you're going to need room to get them in there. But if it's something you don't have time to do yourself, or you don't have the place to do it, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something installed for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, for our first step, what we're going to do is we're going to get our line out of our box, and we want to get that. We'll bring our ends together and just run down it. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to get this cut in half and make 2 equal lengths. After we get that down to the end, now I have a little line cutter here, and this really helps to give us a good clean cut. I do recommend using something like this because it won't crush your line, and it'll just give it a nice 90-degree cut. So we'll get that put in there, get that cut. Now we have our lines cut in half and equal lengths. Now we have one of our bags out of our kit, and what I recommend doing with these is you can either soak them in some really hot water to kind of soften them up and make them a little more pliable, or you can set them out in the sun for a while, which I did today. So basically what we want to do is you're going to have these little plugs on the end of these when you get it. You want to pull that off, and what we're going to do is we're going to get all the air out of our bag. We're going to get as much out of there as we can, and we're basically going to fold it. Get it folded over, and once we do that, we're going to take our little black plug and put that back on, and that's going to help us keep it folded up. Now we want to take our air line, and we're going to run it down into the bottom of our spring, down through our lower control arm. Going to be a hole, and up this way in our control arm. We're going to have another hole, and we want our air line to just come up through that. Bring our air line out. And just get it just where we want it there. Now we want to take our spacer. We'll run that down onto our line. Get that put down in place. We'll just let that sit right there for now. Now in our kit, we're going to have these little clips, little spring clips that come in it. What we want to do is take some pliers and just get that squeezed open. And for now, we're just going to get that run on to the end of our line, down a little ways, and just release that. Now here's a better look at how we routed that. You can see where we have our line that goes down in to our spring pocket, and then it comes through our spacer. It comes down, and you can see where we kind of brought it up. And just the way the line was bent, it almost popped itself out of this hole. But for now, this is where we're going to leave it. Now for the next step, this is really tricky. I recommend getting a little bit of soapy water. I like to use a little bit of dish soap and water mixed together and just kind of get my spring with that on it. What we need to do is we're going to have this part of our bag where the nipple where the line goes to, we're going to have that pointed down towards our line. Now we're just going to take our bag, just want to kind of start stuffing it into our spring. And this part's really tricky. Just take your time. If you have like a tire spoon or something like that, that may help you out with this. But we just need to get that pushed up into place. And we'll just work that up into our spring. Now, this is a really tough part. You're going to have to really work at this to get this in place. Is after it's all folded up, you'll get what you have here, and this just wants to fight you. So I'm just using the end of a rubber mallet. It's basically plastic, and just kind of pushing everything in place and getting everything to move its way up. But you just have to keep working with it to get it in place. It can be pretty tricky, but just take your time and you will get it. Now once we get our brass piece to go through, that's really going to help us with getting it pushed in place. Just got to keep working at it. Add more soapy water if you have to. That will help you as well. Now after we get it all wrestled into place, we can go ahead and pull the nipple off of it, and that's going to give us a lot more room to move this up and down. Now we need to get our line pushed up onto the end of our barbed fitting. And I still have a little bit of soapy water on there. I'm just using needle nose to kind of work the line up. Now we'll work that up a good bit onto our barbed fitting. Now once we have that up, we'll take a pair of pliers, grab our clip, run that up onto our line and just release that, and that's going to help hold our line in place. Now we're going to have this heat sleeve. We want to run this on our line, and what it's going to do is it's going to kind of shield our line from the heat from our exhaust. So all that's going to do is just slide onto our line. We'll just run that down to the end where we want it. And that's just going to sit there right in that general area. That's just going to protect our line from the heat. Now what we'll do is we'll come back through and we'll start routing all of our line to the back. And we'll show you how we routed that in just a second. Now for our routing on both sides, we followed about the same path. And what we ended up doing is tying off the factory wiring harness that ran all the way up to the back. And one of the things you want to remember here is this part is going to be moving up and down, so you want to leave a little bit of play in your line. You don't want to pull this up tight. So I leave quite a little bit of a loop down inside of here, so it gives it room to move up and down and not pull on my line. So I ran up, just tied off, and then ran up over the top of my harness here, tied off, ran on back, And right here we had a little slot that kind of went through our body panel. So I ran through this back and then ran along the back side and ended up popping out right over here. And here on the back of our bumper, kind of where our hitch is located, there's a plate here, and I think this is where we're going to end up mounting our fitting. So we ran both of our lines to here. Now in our kit, we're going to have this heat shield kit and going to have this little plate with these slots on here, and we're going to have our clamps. All we're going to do with this is we're going to put this on the side where our exhaust is somewhat near our helper bag, and all we're going to do is just run this through, and we're going to take our strap and run that around it, and then we're just going to tighten that down to our exhaust pipe, and we'll do the same with this clamp as well. With that in place, now we can just bend our shielding around our pipe. Now we just need to decide where we want to put our airline fitting that's going to come out of the back. And we chose a spot right here on the side that's kind of out of the way, but still accessible. So what I'm going to do is just drill a hole out here in the back using the drill size listed in our instruction manual. After we got our hole drilled out, I came back through with a little black paint pen and just got that all covered up. That's going to help resist any rust in the future. So now we have our little valve that comes in the kit. We're going to thread one of the nuts onto it and just run it down wherever you kind of want that to be. I ran it all the way down to the bottom. Now you're going to have a star washer. We put that on. Now we can come from the back side of the hole. Then we're going to have our rubber washer. Get that put on the end. We'll come back through with a flat washer. And one of the nuts that comes in the kit. Now we can come back through with a 1/2-inch wrench on the back side and a 1/2-inch deep well socket. And we'll just get that snug down. Now all we need to do is get our lines all set up. And there's a couple different ways you can do these. You can do this where you have your bags running independently with two different air fittings. So we just did ours with one, and in our kit's going to come with a T. And so this way, all we need to do is just air up our one, and it'll equally air up both of our bags. So all I'm going to do is just take my lines and all of our clips that we have in our kit and get this all set up. One of the things we need to do is get our line trim back. Then we can take one of our clips, get that onto our line, and then we can come back through with our T, that pushed onto our line. These can be a little tricky to get on, but just keep working at it and pushing your line forward. Now remember, before you start hooking up any of your lines, to get your little clips on there before you get them in place. Now I was having a little bit of problems with getting these lines to slide on. So I just took a little dab of white lithium grease and just rubbed that around the sides of the fitting. And that's going to help get those to slide on a little bit easier. So we did eventually get our lines put in place, and it definitely was a struggle to get them in place. So what I ended up doing is just taking my heat gun and giving a little bit of heat around the ends of them, and then ended up being able to just push them right in place. And now we have our clamps on and everything is set up the way we want it. Now after we've completed all of our lines, what I like to do is get a little bit of air in my bags and just come back through with a little soapy water and spray down anywhere we've made a connection with our lines and fittings. And what that's going to do is going to allow me to see if I get any bubbles anywhere. And I even like to spray the bags themselves and make sure we don't have any bubbles. Check everything out just to be safe. And if you have any kind of leaks, you're going to see a big old bubble or a series of bubbles coming out. And in this case, everything's good to go. With no leaks and everything looking good, that will do it for our installation of our Airlift 1000 helper springs for our 2024 Ford Maverick. I'm Scott with Etrailer, and thanks for watching.